that belief. There's a belief in me which sometimes is quite difficult to explain and to get across, but I do. I believe in what I do. I believe in my capabilities as a designer, and I believe in my product. I guess I've mitigated the risk as I've gone through the early validation of the business. So I've not just decided I'm going to create this business and this brand and not spoken to anyone. At key stages, I've first of all made sure that women want a women-specific clothing brand, and the statistics that have come back, my favourite statistic is 97% have said that they want a female-specific clothing brand. So I've done lots of research. Once I've got past the stage of okay, people want it, women want this, then I've done the products and I've went back out again to make sure that they actually want my product. So the vision that I've got in terms of the design. I've just came back from Eurobike in Germany and had a fantastic response to the actual products, and so each stage validates what I'm doing and mitigates the risk for me, so that I know that this is something that has a real chance of succeeding.
Every day is my reputation's out there every day. It's when some things go wrong, you'll deliver something where the best intentions are right, or the testing's all been done but something's been missed and something goes wrong, and my reputation, and I fiercely protect the reputation of particularly the company, because this is why we work very closely with clients, because if you make a mistake, everyone makes mistakes, and it's how you recover and what you do to deliver against that, in terms of putting it right. So I remember a time when I was at Diageo when we had a major UK retailer who was stocking Bell's bottles, and Diageo made there was a issue made where the retailer, the Bell's bottles ended up having the wrong labels on them, so they were scanning wrong through the tills. And my then boss, the customer services manager, said to me, he said, we immediately reacted. We had everything went, drop everything, go and find out what's happening. We sorted it out, and it was only because Diageo had such a great relationship with that retailer. And as he said, we've made many years of deposits into this customer service bank, and sometimes you have to withdraw from that customer service bank. So it happens, but you keep depositing in there, and then occasionally you might have to draw out. So and they were fine about it. They accepted. They wanted the money repaid, but that was fine.
So in January 2010, I was still working full time and was using my holidays and my job to go into schools to promote it, to try and get enough business going that in August I could leave. And I wouldn't say there was enough business there to leave, but I left anyway and just went for it. And then that's when the momentum really started building. I think when you take that first step and just go all in, if it's all or nothing, then you will make sure it works. Whereas if you've still got a full-time job there, you're not fully committed, and it's easy when things aren't going so well, it's easy just to pack it in. So I think you really just need to go for it.
Well, for me, the risk was minimised because of the amount of market research that I did. I thought the business proposition was pretty solid. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, if anything, we were ahead of the curve. And I think, we've...
Yeah, I think everything pointed in the right direction. Yes. The timing was right, the subject matter was right. And if we could get the product right, then... And it was a window of opportunity, we would have got left behind if we hadn't taken that step then. So, apart from that, just shut your eyes and jump off the edge.
Well, I'm foreign, and I'm glad I am, because speaking to Chris Tyso actually about that, and he said, the thing in Scotland is that people are looking out, and if you make mistakes, there can be a little bit of gloating. And being a foreigner, I don't feel that ties me down what old school friends think. So I'm a little bit of like an immigrant in New York in that sense.
Okay, so that's been an advantage.
I think so.
Do the funny thing is, I think both Annabelle and I very naively assumed when we started this it would be very straightforward. We'd buy the product from China, we'd contact all the TV channels and the newspapers, and they'd say, 2 known faces, no problem, we'll write about it, we'll broadcast it. No. How wrong were we? Still underestimated how taboo this subject is. even in this modern day, we are still a little bit awkward about it. Newspapers are generally edited by middle-aged men who slightly freak at the mention of this. They're happy to talk about genital mutilation, they're happy to talk about rape or murder or God knows what else. But periods? Unbelievable. TV shows, daytime TV shows that I would assume would be really straightforward. They don't like you to push a product. You push a film or a book, because that's culturally advantageous to people watching, but not a product. So that was a no. So it's been a big learning curve for both of us, I think. You think, well, okay, wounded pride, back to the drawing board. We'll just have to prove them by selling a shed load of them that actually we're doing okay. And so far, so good.
I think it's like all business ventures, there's risks and rewards to everything. In terms of putting my reputation on the line, you do that every day, don't you, in whatever you do. So it's the product itself is innovative, it's a departure from tradition. So I guess when anybody puts something on into the market that's different, you take a risk. It could have been a risk that backfired and folk might have, poo-pooed the idea, but it has been embraced. So the RNA, or the governing body of golf, have embraced the product. And I think the industry at large are basically just absolutely keen to see any new innovations that are going to increase the population of folk playing the game of golf, and in particular the youngsters, to get them into the pipeline.
I didn't have a reputation. My qualifications as an instructor could potentially, have been at risk. But whatever's happening with the business, once you've got your group and you're up in the hills, as long as you're delivering the same quality product that I was delivering at the previous business, then that's fine. Now I'm very aware of reputation, and I keep having to, not keep, that sounds bad. I sometimes have to remind staff about the business reputation, about the name, things you can do, things you can't do. But yeah, it's I think it's a business that everyone knows about in the area and respects and appreciates that you can go there and you can get a good quality product, whether it's a bike or some advice. I think, yeah.